Welcome. Now we're going to take a look at setting up users in PrintVis Business Central. There are two places that we need to go. The first is the Business Central users. To do that, you click the search button and type in users. This brings up the list of your Dynamics Business Central user list. In here, you can view the users and edit their permissions or their license type. And you can also create new users. To create a new user, you simply click New. You enter their username, their full name, their license type. If their permissions expire at a certain date, you can enter the date that their login expires, and you can enter their contact email. If you're using Windows authentication, you would enter their Windows username here. If they're using general Business Central password authentication, you can enter a user password here as well. Now, in this user setup, you will use either one or the other. So it will either be the Windows authentication or Business Central password. To add them to a pre-established user group, in the user group section, you can select from the drop-down list of pre-provided user groups. The user groups will control the areas of the software that they have access to. Or you can assign permission sets based on the user if you do not want to use business groups, user groups. Once that's complete, click back. And from there, we need to go to the PrintVis user list. So now we will search for user list and select the PrintVis user list. This is a list of all the users set up in PrintVis. To create a new user in PrintVis, you click New. You'll enter their user ID. If they are a Business Central user, you can select a Business Central user to assign them to a Business Central user. If they're a registration user or strictly entering in time, they may not have a Business Central user assigned to them. You can select their user type in the next box. Enter the name, their email, the status codes that they have access to, if they're a production employee, if they're an estimator, if they're a salesperson or a project manager, you can select salesperson and it will create their salesperson code. If they're tracking time or materials and they are a capacity resource, you can create them as a capacity resource or as an employee in the system. In the next section, and under permissions, we can control the areas, some of the areas that they have access to post and to view things in. For instance, if we do not want to allow the user to make changes to the cell 2 name and information, we can set that to not allowed or set it as a warning so that it prompts the user when they're about to make a change. If the user needs to edit custom or accounting fields, you can allow that. You have the ability to allow journal selection, journal posting, and the ability to post a consumption journal at the close of a window. In addition, you can control the things on the estimate that the user is allowed to change. We also have the ability to lock each user to only their orders or the salesperson orders that they are selected for. Under preferences, we have the ability to set their default salesperson and coordinator. We can assign them a personal journal so that things are, when they post through shop floor or through job costing, it gets assigned to their personal journal. We are able to set a location for them if we want to limit them to one specific warehouse location and allow them the ability to do an item lookup in inventory. Under case management, we are able to assign certain responsibility areas to the user. If we want Jeff to be assigned to our pre-press department, we can select the responsibility for pre-press and assign him to only pre-press or production so that any job that's in that area shows up for this user. We have the ability to allow them to manually change the status or not, as well as the ability to allow archiving and a credit limit override. One thing that is good to set is the status codes for new requests, new quotes, and new orders, as well as the default order type. If your production managers or your project managers are only handling digital printing or wide format printing, you can specify their default order type so that when they create a new case, it's automatically selected for that order type. Under production, if the user is a production user on the shop floor, we have the ability to determine what departments they have access to or what cost centers they have access to. So we can limit our users to just a specific press or specific piece of equipment, or we can give them access to it all. In the purchasing section, we have the ability to set status codes for new purchase orders, as well as status codes for requests and received goods. Under info, we have the ability as well to add a phone number and cell phone number if needed into the system. Once the user is set up, they're able to access various parts of the PrintVis BC system.